Welcome to Two Bottles Deep. We're a podcast where we venture into the world armed with humor, sarcasm, and a willingness to admit when we're wrong. Well, most of the time.
And our goal is to have open and honest conversations while we discuss topics that affect us as humans and as gay men.
And thank you so much for listening. And now it's time to get Two Bottles Deep. Hello, Wes.
Hey, Phil.
How are you,
I
babe?
didn't know when to say hi.
Yeah, it's your first time doing this, isn't it?
And the first time in public, first time on the air.
Love it.
Or the radio show, as Mammer calls it.
How are you,
You
babe?
doing that radio show this weekend? And I said,
What
yes.
radio station do I hear you on? That's my favorite.
Well, hey, we have a big episode today, and we're going to kick this off. It's going to be a huge show.
Oh,
Great
sounds like
show.
a Trump thing right there.
Yes, it is. Hey, imagine waking up one day going about your normal routine. Suddenly everything changes. Well, our guest today, Tim Stewart, suffered a heart attack that almost killed him.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that every year 805,000 people suffer heart attacks in the U.S. and one person dies, this is crazy, every 35 seconds of a cardiac event in the U.S.
Yeah, it's super common. And Tim's story doesn't end with fear or uncertainty. Instead, it marked the beginning of a profound transformation in his life.
Yeah, from reevaluating his priorities and adopting a healthier lifestyle to forging a deeper connection with his loved ones and finding a renewed sense of purpose, Tim's journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of perspective.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please make welcome to the Two Bottles Deep studio here in Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee, Tim Stewart.
Hey, Tim's here. Wow, that was
Hey, guys.
Hi, Tim.
Hello,
Wow.
Tim.
Hello, guys.
I'm nervous because Tim is a radio guy. Tim's had radio shows.
You think he's
Here we
judging
are.
us?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, he's probably judging.
Never. That was 20 years ago. That was before podcasts were even a thing. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You were in the studio. They were pressing all the buttons. And
yeah, everything was on
Bible.
8-track. It was different.
you ain't that old. That ain't old. I'll tell you what. Hey, so you have an amazing story, a survival story, health story. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So let's jump into it. Take us
Sure.
to that day.
Sure. It was a normal day. I was at work. I was in a meeting, and I turned to one of my coworkers because I was just feeling a little hot. And I said, "Is it hot in here?" He said, "No, it's actually kind of cold." So that was, not a big deal. Walked to my desk. About 5 minutes later, I was sitting at my desk, sending emails, and just felt like a heaviness in my chest. And that's been happening quite a bit. I recently lost a twin sister, and so I've been dealing with all kinds of things on the inside. Problem was when I got up to walk to get some water, it was like everything felt like it was 20, 30 feet away. I was unsteady and I was dizzy. And that's when I knew something was not right. It was more than just, digestion or something like that. So I sat back down and I waited for it to subside. And it did somewhat subside. And then I got in my car and was driving home. So
I'm already
that
nervous.
was, that's how it started. I had no idea. While I was driving home, my boss called me, and I explained to her what was going on. She insisted I go to a walk-in clinic, and I argued with her. I was like, "I'm just going to go home and lay down. This will pass." She's like, "No." She's like, "You can't do that. You need to go to a walk-in clinic." So she wasn't going to let it go. So I did. Drove to a walk-in clinic, and they did an EKG, and they came out and they said, "Hey, there's something abnormal here. We suggest you go to the ER." Well, by then I felt okay. And I was like, "Well, thanks, but no thanks." And they're like, "Well, we need you to sign this document if you're not going to go." And I said, "Yeah, that's fine." Because I do have like rapid heartbeat, normal kind of, it happens every now and then. So honestly, again, I had no idea. I got in my car and they called me back. I was in my car about 5 minutes and they said, "Hey, our supervising physician just looked at your EKG. You're having a heart attack." They said, "You need to go to, pull over, call an ambulance." I was right by a hospital. I said, okay. I said, I'll go to this hospital. And just drove, to the hospital that was really close to me. And they did some tests and they came back and they said, yeah, you've had a heart attack, a serious heart attack. Had two blockages, 90% blockages. And they were going to have to go in and do surgery and put in stents, and it all happened so fast. I wasn't even able to really process that I was having a heart attack because it didn't feel, it was uncomfortable, but I always pictured if I was having a heart attack, I'd be screaming like a girl and, maybe it'd be bloody. I don't know. I never thought of heart attacks. Yeah. And the next morning I had two stents put in. And that was kind of the beginning of a new chapter for me.
From the meeting to when you got to the hospital, what was that time frame?
I'm going to say maybe an hour.
All right.
Oh, wow. So pretty quick.
Yeah, it happened. It all happened quick.
Tim, looking back, were you having symptoms for weeks leading up to this that you didn't acknowledge at that point as, oh, I guess that was telling me something was going on? Or were you totally surprised?
Well, I was totally surprised, but I will say, I mentioned earlier, I just lost my twin sister in December. We were extremely close. And literally, guys, the day that we buried her, I had a heaviness in my chest, and it has never went away. I almost think this heart attack was from a broken heart, because I knew it was there, and I would have slight chest pains, but I thought, it's just, everything with Tammy, my sister, and, work was stressful, of course. And then, my other sister, my last sister, it's alive. She just got diagnosed with 2 forms of cancer. So, I have a lot on me. And so I was kind of used to that feeling in my chest. And then I just thought the sharp pains were just an extension of that, and, nothing serious.
I think you make a good point too, that it's easy for us to think we know what a heart attack feels like. So if it doesn't fit that exact feeling, then it's not a heart attack, right? You can explain it away. You're like, well, goodness, I've had so much stress. Of course my chest is tight. Or I'm having so much anxiety. Yes, I've got a little pain in my shoulder. I think it would be tough for me to recognize a symptom of a heart attack. And I would definitely chalk it up to like, oh, I just had a rough day or had a rough week of it. So how does it feel? Like if you were trying to explain it to somebody, when we talk about chest tightness, I always find this interesting. Like, sometimes patients will be like, my chest hurts, but it's like, it's just because it feels different. How did it feel like to you? If you can't use the word tight, if I
can't use the word tight, I would say constricted, meaning I couldn't really move without hurting. If I moved, it hurt. When I sit still, it was just more of a throb. But whenever I would move, it was a stabbing pain. And that's why it felt tight, was I didn't want to move.
And so when someone mentioned a heart attack, is your first reaction, no, I'm not having a heart attack?
Well, nobody mentioned it. Well, when they said that on the phone, when they called me back from the first clinic that I went to, and they said, you're having a heart attack, my first response was, that can't be possible.
Wrong patient.
Right. Yeah. Bad patient. I was like, I'm fine. But it wasn't until I got to the hospital that everything just really hit me. And I realized I'm not fine. Like, this is serious. And it just, the pain increased. Once I got to the hospital, it all came back to me. So there for a minute, everything was okay. So it's just, heart attacks are confusing. The only thing that made me a little suspicious was I did have that pain in my arm. And I've always heard that's associated with a heart attack. That's the only thing where I was like, oh, that's kind of scary. But even then, I just couldn't process I could be having a heart attack. So it literally was a shock when they said that's what's happening.
And did the doctor say, had you gone home, ... would happen? Or
the doctor did say that. Yes. He told me and my sister, he said, look, these are significant blockages. This might have been the big one if you would have went home. He said, and I'll tell you, if this wasn't the big one, the next one would be. He said you would not be here because they were pretty bad blocks. I mean, only half of my heart was working, and my body was struggling.
Yeah.
I was, and my energy levels had been low. That's another thing associated with a heart attack is as you come into it, your energy levels are low because you're not pumping that blood to keep you going and keep you energetic. And so that might have been another thing, Phil, besides the heaviness in my chest that I had, was that I was feeling tired, but so many things make us tired. I mean,
Sure.
I'm in my 30s, so I know that I'm not in my 30s. Thanks for believing me.
I was like, I want to take this, but we're talking about something serious here. So I don't want to be like, liar.
I've got through this whole thing, guys, by laughing.
Good.
You can't
You're
take
not
it
30.
too seriously. No, I'm 35.
Okay.
Well, what about? I had a quick question too about the pain in the arm.
Good.
Because they say, is it a certain arm?
Yeah.
And then I heard like jaw, teeth, neck, those pains. So is it always on the right side or the left side, so people know, or is it?
So mine was on the left side, and it was more kind of up in my shoulder and my forearm, or I'm sorry, my shoulder and this part of my arm. I didn't have anything with the neck. I didn't have anything with the teeth.
I think that's important too. I'm glad you brought that up because, if you're trying to figure out if you're having a heart attack, the typical is chest tightness and chest pain. But like no one thinks that your arm can be the first indicator. Like Tim was pointing to kind of the outside of his upper arm. That can be your teeth can hurt, your neck can you think you're having neck pain. So like you don't put all these things together because it doesn't fit the like I'm tired, I have chest pain, it must be a heart attack. It could be I have arm pain and I feel a little off or I'm nauseous.
And you could have, swept the garage, shoveled the snow. Again, there's an excuse of, well, this is why, or I went to the gym, so I'm going to be a little bit sore today, or there's going to be pain there,
And Tim, leading up to this, and we'll talk about how it changed you, but like leading up to this event, did you have underlying medical issues you were dealing with?
No, actually,
I'm good. And
yeah, no, you know what? I'm in, I just got labs done this week, and everything came back great. The testosterone, the hormones, the cholesterol, like everything was good. And even my heartbeat is good and strong and healthy because I have those stents in there now. So before that, I did go through, I had high cholesterol, so I had to start taking medication for that. And honestly, guys, I'll tell you, I was lazy. I was really lazy. It's like I worked, I ate, and I watched TV. That was my life. And sometimes I did all at the same time. But as far as any health concerns on my heart, never have. Now, about a year and a half ago, I went and got a screening for lung cancer because I'd quit smoking, and one of my friends ended up with lung cancer, and it scared me. And I didn't know you could get tested for that. So we went and did that test. They checked out my heart then, and they gave me a stress test, make sure everything was good, and everything checked out. That was like a year and a half ago.
It's crazy that you can get a checkup like that and it clears you, and then you find out you've got 90%, blockages.
Into my arteries.
That's the craziest part. I mean, I think that for me, the lesson is, really listening to your body too, like understanding what you're experiencing and not writing it off. I do this all the time where I'm like, I have this feeling, it's because I didn't sleep well, or I have this because I drank too much, or I have there's always a reason in my head for it, but it's never a, by the way, there's a guy blowing leaves right outside our house. So if you're hearing the landscaper, he's like right in my ear. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Your lawn looks great.
Thank you. No, my point is, I think I've gotten off topic here.
Oh, the testing.
But, so the testing isn't always not that it's not correct, but if you're not looking for the right thing, if you don't go in and look at the arteries in my heart, you go and look at something else and like it's clear, and you're like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah,
like, my cholesterol's good. I don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
So listening to your
And how
to
do
your
they know? So my primary care, so every 6 months or 12 months you go in for your checkups, and I'm like, do blood work. I want to know if I have cancer. I want to know if I have a blockage. I want to know if I have this and this
Yep.
and this. Do they know that just off of a
Well,
blood screening?
Yeah,
or-
you can tell in the blood work that comes back. You know, your the enzymes in your blood can help you understand what your body's going through. How much cholesterol is in the blood tells you how much blockaging you might have, or blockages you might have.
Oh, okay.
How your heart's responding to things. So there's some tests that'll tell you if your heart is responding well or not. But like Tim said too, the EKG that he had will tell the heart rate and the heartbeat. Is it normal? Is there blockages or the appearance of blockages?
Mhm.
So, all right. So you have the heart attack. So you're in the hospital. You're in the middle of a heart attack. What's your mindset like at this point?
Did
Are
I
you just
almost
glad you're in the
die?
hospital, or right,
I was
right?
trying to just process. I almost died. You know, because there was a moment where I kind of blacked out a little, went dark for a minute, um, and I couldn't believe I was having a heart attack because I thought I'm in good shape, and I just recently had quit smoke. Well, not recently, but I'd quit smoking, but I did vape. I'd lost about 30 pounds over the previous 2 or 3 months, and I just kept thinking, how can this be happening? And what's going to happen now? And I asked the doctor, I was like, how do you know? Like I had a heart attack. Like what shows you? Because they did blood tests to determine it. And he did say that when you have a heart attack, your heart releases enzymes, and it depends on the level of the enzymes as to the severity of the heart attack. And he said mine was very severe.
Mm.
So I'm just sitting there trying to think, oh my gosh, I don't have a will, you know. I treat every day like it's my last already. I always tell my people I love them. I'm really big on family and friends, so didn't have any concerns there. But then, I thought about work. I was like, what would happen if I wasn't there, and how who would this impact, and what would I'm taking care of my sister with cancer right now. What's going to happen to her, and um, I mean, I had just so many thoughts racing through my head, but I think the biggest thought was I almost died. It could have been it. If I would have came home and went to bed, I would have probably died. And that's scary.
Yeah, when you're full of life and love life and make a
Yeah.
difference, and the people are you're around, that would hit pretty hard.
Yeah. And
Understanding
people
out
need
there.
me.
Yeah, and you didn't have things set up, right? Which
No.
I don't. I'm in my 40s. I don't have
Yeah,
anything
who
set
thinks of
up.
getting a will together at 40? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
it's just not something I think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
What sitting there in that moment, I feel you're a positive guy. How has your outlook changed since laying in that bed and coming out of the hospital and having another life to live now?
It's changed a lot, Wes. I mean, stuff that I used to just get tore up. Like I have horrible road rage. You cut me off, and especially don't use a blinker. I'm about ready to
Heart
come out that
attack mixed
window.
is a road rage.
Right. Right. You think I'm 6 feet tall and have guns the way I act. I'm
Yeah.
going to get my ass beat one day if I'm not careful. I would get really, really tore up over, things that happen on the road. Or if something wasn't perfect, if something was out of place, if there were dishes in the sink, if my car needed vacuumed, like I would do this stuff right away. I did not like to wait.
Mhm.
Now I'll just wait. The car can get dirty. The dishes can wait. If they want to cut me off, I can't do anything about it, and I'm not going to do anything about it. So
Mhm.
I think my outlook just changed to literally not sweat small stuff, and look at that bigger
Right.
picture. I think I was a little uptight.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think looking back, I was uptight, and high strung. And I think that had an effect on my heart.
I think that causes a lot of stress too when we let outside factors affect us as a person.
Yeah.
And Philip has this line, that it's that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's not my problem. They cut me off. I'm like, maybe they're trying to get to the hospital. Maybe they're trying to get to see family. Maybe they're late for work. Because I was the same as you. And that's that mindset. I was letting other people piss me off.
Mhm.
And I'm in control of that now. And I think too, that's that tension, that pressure. You're just balled up inside. And those people you'll literally probably never see on the road again.
Yeah.
Especially, in the Nashville area, it's so big. It's like, I'll probably never see that person again. And here I am mad my whole commute to work. Now I'm mad at work. And now I'm taking it out on my teammates. And
Right.
I got cut off. And they're like, we don't care.
Right.
And Philip's saying is, it's not my problem.
It's not my problem.
Not my problem.
I
bro.
love that. I love that. And the other thing, that the other realization that I came to was I give people permission to piss me off and stress me out. I hand them the keys to do that. They don't do that. They can't do that. They can't do that without me giving them permission. So I stopped giving permission.
I like that.
Oh,
I may try that this
Yeah.
weekend.
be my new
I'm going to
tattoo.
announce that. I'm not giving you permission to piss me off.
Yeah.
We're not doing it
This
today.
this is not a part of my journey today. So
Yeah, right.
I like that. How do your relationships with friends and family change and work as well?
I was so shocked, you guys. Like, there were hundreds of people. I think I had over 400 comments on Facebook and countless texts and emails. So many people reaching out, people I don't even remember. I'm going to be honest. That were
Wow.
like, you touched my life, and this world is a better place with you. I'm so glad you're still here. I felt so much love. I felt more love than I've ever felt in my life, and realized people got scared. Like, people were scared that they were going to lose me, and that was flattering. I never thought of that. So it's really made me appreciate my friends. And you know what? There are a few friends I didn't even hear from. And I was like, that's okay. I'm not gonna worry about that. As a matter of fact, probably don't need them in my life anyway, because there's other issues with these friends. So it allowed me to really reevaluate, who am I going to give permission to? And it's only, a small select group that I've chosen to do that. But they're amazing. And then with work, it was my boss that saved my life, literally, because
that's
I
right.
was ready to go home and go to bed. And I almost thought about lying to her and telling her, yeah, I'll go, and then not go. And then I was like, well, they were amazing. They were like, take off all the time you need. And then when I was ready to come back, they were like, well, you're only going to come back part-time and you're going to have light duty. And, coming into office, I came into a bunch of gifts on my desk and a bunch of healthy snacks and lots of hugs. That's been the upside of this experience, is I've realized, hey, people love me. It's a hard world we live in right now, and there's so much hate, and there's so much negativity everywhere, in media, on like, we're faced with it every day. To walk into an office just full of love and gratitude because I'm alive was a huge ego boost, and it made me so happy to be alive. And so it changed. Honestly, every change that's came about since this has happened has been a positive change.
I know I can imagine how good it feels to get that many comments from people, especially people you haven't heard from, right? That's got to feel
Right.
great. How does that how did you change the way you approached your friends or family members? Like, did it change the outlook? I know you mentioned don't sweat the small stuff, but
Yeah.
how does it change your approach to people?
Well, I was really impatient, y'all. Even with my employees, with my friends, with my family, I hate waiting. I'm very impatient. And that's changed. I don't get frustrated when somebody takes forever to get a story out. I don't get upset if, if something doesn't go the way I want as quickly as I want. So it's really made me appreciate them a lot more. And again, it's made me see who my true friends are. And I just wrap them up with love. I have a couple of my friends that are coming over today that have been huge helps through this time. And so put them together a little goodie bag, because I wanted them to know that that meant a lot to me to have them literally there every day. Colin, what do you need? One of them bought me a bunch of books on cardio recovery, and it made me appreciate them more. It made me realize how lucky I am, because I didn't think I took them for granted, but after the heart attack, I think I did. Now I don't.
Does it change the way you approach just, you mentioned not getting, like, sweating the small stuff, but like
Yeah.
your approach to your life, like the way you handle your finances, the way I guess grocery shopping, you're going to change what you're eating.
Yeah,
How
no, definitely, Phil.
did
Yeah.
that make for you?
When I got home, we cleaned out the fridge. We got rid of, all the bad stuff and just filled
That would
it
be
with
everything in my fridge, by the way.
it
Just
was
everything out of the fridge.
yeah, everything but the milk. So yeah, it has. It's changed the way I shopped. It's changed the way I ate. Um, it changed, on the financial side. It changed my bank account, because heart attacks are not cheap, even with insurance. But it did prompt me to get all my information, all my financial information in one place, and it prompted me to go ahead and write my will. So for that respect, I think that was the biggest thing as far as the financial, and getting things done. In case, God forbid, this happens again, everything I laid in that bed that night worrying about, I can focus on recovering and healing and surviving. But let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know what the stats are on a second heart attack. I mean, you've had 2 stents, so you would think that would significantly reduce your risk of it. But when you mentioned cleaning out the refrigerator, I don't know why I thought of this, but my mind goes weird places. What is the food that you are surprised that you liked, like a healthy food that you were like, oh, I do like this? And what's the food that you miss the most from your diet change?
Yeah, I haven't missed anything. I've just done everything in moderation. I didn't
Love
want to
it.
set
Good
myself up
answer.
for myself.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't miss anything. I want more of it. I want more red meat. Like, I could eat red meat all day long.
Yeah.
I not a food, Phil, but a specific dish. I make this white chicken chili. And I love it. It's
Love the white
delicious. And my dietitian gave me a list of the foods I can and can't eat, and all the ingredients in there. And obviously it's just, chicken and some spices and some beans, are heart healthy. So I can eat that 3 days a week if I want. It's funny, guys. I don't like salad dressing, but I like salad. So I eat a lot of dry salads with extra tomato and maybe some lemon juice. But yeah, I don't miss anything. I miss eating it as much as I wanted. I miss getting pizza, every week, and I miss going to Wendy's 2 or 3 times a week. Like White Castle is my favorite. But I miss being able to do that as often as I did.
Yeah. Wes, when's the last time you just put a little lemon juice on your salad?
I don't like lemons in my water. I don't want lemons anywhere. Lemon meringue pie, though, is not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because I'm trying to get away from salad dressing, so I like to use the salsa.
Yeah, I've done that too.
That's a salad dressing.
Mhm.
I will do salsa.
I never thought of that.
And
But I guess
good.
Wendy's does that. Wendy's, I mean, God, I love that my reference point is Wendy's. Wendy's on their chili salad. They've got
Wendy's.
salsa they put on there.
Yeah, I do a little bit of salsa.
That's a good idea.
Especially there's south of Nashville, about an hour and a half. There's an Amish community, and they have the best homemade salsa that's out of this world. So I just sprinkle a little bit on there, a little
Really?
and keep
Yeah,
it.
that's good to
paleo-ish.
know. Yeah, I have
like
an Amish community really close by. I'll have to check out their salsa.
Good. Oh yeah, and they sell these big jars for like $3.
I
mean,
like
it's
I like
the
to
best
pour
thing.
the ranch over the salad, mix it up, pour more because I'm convinced I don't have
You don't have
enough. Mix it again, and then keep the dressing near me. You know when you get that piece of lettuce, it comes out and it's like nothing's on it.
Oh, missed one. I'll tell you too. If we did, because our society is, I think, an all or nothing.
Oh yeah.
So we either balls to the walls or we don't do it, right? And I like that you said moderation. Because there's some things that, okay, maybe we have to give up chocolate or refined sugar or whatever, but there's still, you're changing your life slowly. And then that just becomes habit, because how we got to where we all are is habit. No matter good or bad, we got there in a short amount of time. So when people think of a diet, they think, or quitting drinking or quitting smoking or whatever, it's like, well, this is the way I've always lived. That's a habit. You don't need that, right?
Yeah.
And my struggle is food, because I do like the fast food. I don't like to be in the kitchen. That's my drug. I just I in and out, I want to eat, and then I have to go on with my day. But what I've learned from you too is just to, because I'm a fast-paced person, is to slow down, to kind of take it all in. We had Kelly Lang on a few seasons ago talking about her breast cancer survival. She's like, just smell the grass, look at the trees, enjoy the wind, use your fine china, burn the candles because you bought them. Don't buy a candle and keep it in there because it was $30. No, burn it. You know, do you have that kind of revelation as well? As like, I'm gonna you always seem like you lived, but is it different now?
Yeah, like it's a new life. I feel like I got a second chance. When, after it happened, I made so many significant changes. I started walking a mile. It didn't start out as a mile, started out as a couple of blocks, and then it was 4 blocks. I just had to build up my stamina. I do have, I do get wore out pretty easy since the heart attack, but it's getting better every day. I quit vaping. And again, changed my diet. So, I lived before, but now I'm living healthy. I don't like not being able to vape. I don't like not being able to, eat McDonald's, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I do like life, so I'll take it.
Yeah, it's a good trade-off. What would you say is, like, was there a big surprise for you about the experience in general? What surprised you the most about it?
Yeah, the biggest surprise was that I didn't feel like I was having a heart attack. The actual event itself, again, I expected it to be, in my mind, I just envisioned, a choir singing and, something major. That surprised me. I was also surprised at how many people kind of came out of the woodwork to support me and just say, I love you. That was surprising. I had no idea so many people cared. I really didn't. And I didn't know what to say to half of them. Some of them I didn't even remember. So I just said, thank you. I miss you. So, that was probably the second biggest surprise.
Reminds me of a country song.
Oh God.
Which one?
This will be interesting, and it may not even be related, Tim. So
okay,
it'll be like satin sheets to cry on.
1973. Buy me flowers while I'm here.
Oh, Tanya Tucker.
Tanya Tucker. See, yes.
Buy me flowers
while I'm living. That goes to prove, and we've said it on the show, I think on Kelly's episode, for everyone listening right now, whenever you listen, it's 2024. Maybe someone listens to this in 2028. Send right now or whenever, send someone a Facebook message, send them a text, thinking about you, love you. We need to get together, something like that, because you've just said that changed your outlook. That probably gave that spirit, that renewed energy.
Yeah, it was a boost.
There's in the world you referenced, I mean, it's a political year. We have people fighting back and forth, and that does drag us down. That does give us anxiety. That does give us chest pain. So why not be that spread of light? Why not send that message? Hey, just thought of you. Or when stuff comes up on Facebook, it's just that automated response. Add some extra words in there. Right? Happy birthday, confetti. Like, happy birthday, Carol. Remember college? We had so much fun. Hope you ever, taking that little bit of time, because we are so busy and so fast. I have anxiety every single day of my life. And what this episode has taught me, or has reinforced, we all know it, but just to slow down and not be rushed by those outside forces, if you can prevent it.
Yeah, and don't give permission to others to steal your joy.
Amen.
Ooh. I'm going to use that one.
Well,
at
you
work.
mentioned, preventing. There's some ways we can prevent these heart attacks. It doesn't mean we can prevent all of them, but
Right.
it's pretty straightforward stuff. I mean, Tim's already mentioned, eating a healthy diet, and he made a really good point too. He didn't. I mean, I said, what all do you miss? Thinking he had just completely given up on everything, but he's found a way to have a healthy diet with moderation using a dietitian or a nutritionist.
Mhm.
So that's very manageable. He mentioned
Mhm.
walking. The recommendation is to stay active 30 to 60 minutes, 5 to 7 days a week.
Mhm.
That's not as hard as it seems. If we've got time to watch, CSI Miami for an hour, we could probably get out and do a little
Yeah.
walking too. And then monitoring your health, checking your blood pressure, doing your blood work. I know for me, I was initially scared to ever do blood work. Some of it was the HIV scare and stuff going when I was younger. So every time I get blood work, I'm just assuming the doctor's going to come in and be like, you've got it,
Yeah.
So I would just not
Scary.
get blood work.
Yeah.
But, getting blood work done makes a huge difference to be preventative so you can make your changes.
Yes.
And smoking, he mentioned, Tim mentioned, not vaping anymore, not smoking. That's a huge part of it too. So there are things that we can do to lead up to being more, prevention of this. But it usually takes a medical scare for us to
Yeah, it
be like,
does.
oh,
Yeah.
probably make
And
some
I
change.
Right. And I asked my doctor, I said, what did I do? Like, why is this happening? And he told me, you know what? It's not genetics. It's not diet. He said, these just happen. And that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because there are some factors you can control. But the fact that it could come anyway, you can be the healthiest person and still have this happen is scary. So definitely taking those preventative steps is not an option for me, because the more I can lessen the chances, the better I feel about it. But I was surprised to hear that, I figured he'd say, well, your biscuits and gravy for 20 years is, caught up to you, or something like that. But, no, he said, no, it's not genetic. It's not diet. It's not poor health. It just, they happen.
Yeah. And maybe a combination too. I think a lot of
Right.
families have heart disease in them.
Yeah.
And I think about it too. And the way I think about this new journey, or whatever new journey we're on, is it's turning a ship and not a jet ski. So 20 years of biscuits and gravy's caught up with it. It's going to take a few years to
Sure.
kind of make those changes, because once you give up something just like that, you have that. I need that mentally. I need that. I need that. I want that. And we could probably talk for hours with you, but thank you so much for
Oh my
sharing
gosh.
your journey, your thoughts when you were laying there in the bed. You basically took this crisis and turned it into a more meaningful life.
Yeah. And I think, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
I just have a history of that. Anytime I'm faced with some type of challenge, I always try to pull the good out of it. And I just want to say I'm a big fan of the podcast, so I'm really excited to be here and talk to you guys.
Oh, thank you. Well, we appreciate you. I think for me, I doing a little research before we started this, I don't think I realized heart disease is the leading cause of death in adults. Wes made a good point too earlier. He was like, I feel like every time I hear something, there's always a leading cause. It's guns, it's this, but heart disease is a leading cause of death in adults, and learning ways to prevent it is much easier than dealing with the aftermath of surgery and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's easy to say I'm too young, I'm too healthy, I'm too anything, but that's going to make us not act quickly, and we need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways too to enrich our lives, live a more meaningful life, hopefully before we get to a point that you got to. And I think that's why this message is so important. It may prevent an ER scare or an emergency. And it's just so great that you have such a huge, great heart, mind, and soul to share this with our listeners and the world.
Well, I hope that
isn't blocked.
Yes.
What'd you say, Phil?
I said, we're glad that your heart isn't blocked anymore.
Me too. My heart is open and ready to love. So yeah, good times.
Thank you so much, Tim. And
thank you guys.
Maybe we'll have you back on. I know your journey has just started.
Yeah.
Your videos. Where can people find you? I believe you post on TikTok as well.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, Timian RS.
Timmy
at
and
TikTok.
RS. Yes. And you started with a few blocks and now you're up to miles.
Now I'm
Remember
up to 1 mile.
1 mile. I love it.
Mm.
And it's the heat of summer and you're still doing it. It's just those baby steps. One guy had never been to a gym and he's like, the first week, all I could do is just put my shoes on. I never left my apartment.
Start.
And then I started.
Yeah.
And then I go out. Now he's a fitness guru.
It's a start.
You know,
Oh, wow.
and it's so it's just those baby steps because we think gym, okay, everybody there is ripped and they have their Lululemon, and we have no. What about those baby steps? What about that journey that's going to get us to where we are? It might be a walk in the park. You walk to the picnic table and back. I don't know, but just enjoy the life, enjoy the birds, enjoy the sights and sounds. Send people the love notes.
Yes.
Send them flowers
Send me a
while
love
they're
note.
living.
Yeah.
I'll send you all love notes.
Well, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you,
You're the
Tim.
Thank you
best.
We
guys for
appreciate
having
your time.
me.
Yes. Have
All
a
right,
good
so-
have a good rest of your week. And babe, I hope you have a good week.
You too. Love you, Phil.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye, babe.
I love y'all too.
Oh, love you, Tim.
Hey. Bye, guys.
Episode of Two Bottles Deep. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have a crazy show idea, email us at twobottlesdeep@gmail.com or hit us up on the old Instagram.
And we really do appreciate you listening to today's show. And when you get the chance, go back and listen to our other episodes, because Lord knows you have nothing better to do. Got him.